He didn't read it right away. He stood in the middle of his kitchen, coat still on, keys still in his hand, and he just stared at it. A single white envelope sitting on the counter like it had always been there, like it belonged. But it didn't belong. Because the handwriting on the front, his name, written in that careful, slightly tilted cursive, belonged to someone who was gone. Not gone the way people leave cities, gone the permanent way. He had been sure of that for 4 years, and now her handwriting was on his counter. Noah picked up the envelope. His hand was shaking before he even touched it. And in that moment, standing in a kitchen that smelled of old coffee and quiet evenings, he understood something that no one ever tells you about certain truths. Once you open them, they live in you forever. You cannot put them back. He opened it anyway. Because that is what people do when the alternative is living the rest of their life wondering. Her name was Della. She was the kind of person who made ordinary moments feel like they mattered. Not because she tried, because she genuinely believed they did. They met in a bookstore on a Tuesday in November. He was looking for something he couldn't name. She was returning a book she had already read twice. She made a joke about the ending. He laughed before he understood why. That was Della. They became friends first, the slow, honest kind. Long evenings, long silences that weren't uncomfortable, conversations that started about nothing and ended somewhere neither of them expected. Noah told himself it was just friendship. He was lying to himself, and somewhere underneath everything, he knew it. When she got sick, she didn't tell him what was really happening. She said it was nothing, fatigue, headaches, the kind of thing that passed. He believed her because he wanted to, and then one morning, she stopped answering. One morning became a week became a month. Her sister called eventually, voice flat, carefully neutral. She said Della had made a choice to step back from the people she loved. She said it wasn't about Noah specifically, but it felt like it was. 4 years passed. He moved to a new city, got a different job, learned the shape of a life with a Della-shaped absence in the middle of it, and then the envelope arrived. And everything he had spent 4 years building, the careful distance, the practiced indifference, came apart in the time it took to read his own name. He sat down at the kitchen table, didn't make coffee, didn't take off his coat, just sat, spread the pages flat, and began to read. The letter opened simply. 3 words. I'm sorry, Noah. He stopped. Read them again, then kept going. I've started this letter more times than I can count. I started it on a Tuesday 2 years ago and burned it. Started it again in autumn and kept it for a week before I couldn't look at it anymore. This version is the one that has to reach you, because I'm running out of time and there are things you deserve to know. Things I should have said when I still had the chance to say them to your face. Noah, quote as chest tightened. Running out of time. He felt the words the way you feel cold water, not through your skin, but through something deeper. When you knew me, I was already sick. Not the way I told you. The real kind. The kind with a name and a timeline and a set of choices that weren't really choices at all. I didn't tell you because I didn't know how, and I didn't know how because what came after that sentence was the part I was most afraid to say. He turned the page. His hands were not steady. What came after was, I love you. I have loved you for a long time, Noah. Maybe since the bookstore, if I'm being completely honest, which I think I finally am. He put the letter down, stood up, walked to the window and stood there looking at the street below. A woman with a dog, a taxi, pigeons on a wire, the world going about its business as if nothing inside his apartment had just broken open. He stood there for a long time. Then he went back. Because you always go back. The letter did not get easier. It got more honest. Della wrote about the Sunday in October when they had walked along the river, and she had rehearsed the words so many times inside her head that she was certain they would simply fall out of her mouth on their own. They didn't. She wrote about the night he spent at the hospital, not for her, he hadn't known, but for a friend who had been in an accident, and how she had watched him from across the waiting room, exhausted, faithful, steady in the specific way he was always steady. She had thought, that is someone who deserves to be loved by someone whole, and she had not felt whole, so she had said nothing. I have spent years asking myself whether you felt it too, whether there were evenings where the silence between us held its breath, whether you were quiet for the same reasons I was. I think you were. I think we were both trying to protect each other, and I think we managed to protect ourselves right out of the only true thing either of us had. Noah pressed his knuckles against his mouth. He thought about every moment he had, almost said something. Every evening he had let the right words dissolve before they reached the surface. He had told himself he was being patient. He had told himself he was waiting for the right moment. There is a particular kind of grief that doesn't have a name. It's not the grief of losing someone. It's the grief of realizing what you had before you knew you were losing it. The grief of the moment you understand that the life you wanted was already there, and you were standing right beside it, saying nothing. Noah was sitting inside that grief now, and the letter wasn't finished. I don't write this to make you sad. I write it because you deserve to be loved honestly, and you were, quietly, completely, without condition. And I wanted you to know that. I wanted you to carry it with you. I write it because you need to stop waiting for the right moment. Noah. The right moment is always the one you are standing in. It was always the one you were standing in. Whatever you are holding back, whoever you have been meaning to reach toward, do it. Please, don't do what I did. Don't let the silence become the answer. The last page was the shortest. Her handwriting had changed on it, looser, slower, as if the act of getting this far had cost her something real, but it was still hers. Still that careful, slightly tilted cursive he had recognized the moment he saw the envelope. By the time you read this, things will be different. I won't tell you how. It doesn't matter, and I don't want this letter to be about that. I want it to be about you. The time I spent near you was the most alive I ever felt, not because of anything dramatic, because of the ordinary moments. The way you listened without trying to solve everything. The way you sat with people in their hard times instead of looking for the exit. The way you made the world feel like a place that was worth staying in. You did that for me. Now I'm asking you to let someone do it for you. Open the door. You have been standing in the hallway of your own life for long enough. I loved you. I love you still, in whatever way that makes sense now. Della. He sat there until the room went completely dark. He didn't turn on the lights. He just let the evening come in and settle around him. The smell of the city through the cracked window, the distant sound of traffic, the ordinary world continuing without any awareness of what had just shifted inside this apartment. He thought about a woman named Elena, his neighbor. She brought him coffee sometimes when she made too much. She laughed at his jokes even when they weren't funny. She had eyes that lingered just a half second too long whenever they said goodnight in the hallway. He had told himself it was nothing. He had told himself it wasn't the right time. He had told himself he would say something eventually. Eventually, he picked up his phone. He typed without rehearsing. "Are you home? Can I come over? There's something I want to tell you." He pressed send before he could take it back. His heart hammered against his ribs. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. "Yes, I'll put the kettle on." He folded Della's letter with both hands, slowly, carefully, the way you handle something that matters, and set it on the table. He stood up. He put on his shoes, and he walked out the door toward something, instead of away from it, for the first time in 4 years. There are letters that arrive too late. And there are letters that arrive at exactly the right moment, even when they carry loss inside them, even when they come from hands that can no longer be held. Della never knew if Noah would find what she left behind. She wrote it anyway, because some things need to be said even when you cannot be certain they will be heard, because love, even when it cannot be returned in time, deserves a voice. She was right about him. He had been standing in the hallway, waiting for a moment that would never feel safe enough, never feel perfect enough, never announce itself as the right one. But there is no right moment. There is only the moment you are standing in, and what you choose to do with it. Some choices cannot be undone. You cannot unsend the message. You cannot reopen the door once it has been closed. You cannot unknow the words that rearrange everything inside you. But some irreversible things are not losses. Some of them are beginnings. Noah walked down the hallway of his building. The floor creaked under him. His heart was loud and terrified and more alive than it had been in years. He raised his hand. He knocked. The door opened, and for the first time in a very long time, he said exactly what he meant. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you have been standing in a hallway somewhere, waiting for the right moment, this is it.